Well, I think persistent pain over time, I think of it in 2 ways: as chronic pain, where the body has healed, but the brain is stuck in a loop. And what needs to happen is pattern interruption and interrupting that loop of pain. So often our lessons interrupt that loop by doing confusing movements, moving your eyes in a different direction. So a lot of people habitually keep their eyes with their head, but breaking those patterns up is important, so it's really in the brain. And I will also say that this is not a I don't think the Feldenkrais method is an end all be all. So my clients who had newer chronic pain, and I would define newer chronic pain as a few years, um, the the work we did together was incredibly effective in pretty short amount of time. But the clients who had had chronic pain for 15 or 20 years and had been living in chronic pain that long, they needed support in other ways. So they often would do brain training programs. And so I think finding new movement patterns gently with me and then also doing separate pain retraining programs together, I saw good outcomes for that. And then the other persistent pain I would think about is more of a recurring pain, which is somebody who has pain, they go to see somebody and they get better and they feel relief, but then their nervous system goes back to the patterns because while that modality may have given them temporary relief, they the you, their nervous system and the underlying patterns have not changed. And so what the Feldenkrais method does is we work with the nervous system to learn and adapt new patterns. And let me clarify a little bit, since I didn't yet. So within the Feldenkrais method, there are 2 modalities. So there are hands-on, traditional hands-on, where you're working one-on-one with a client, and that is called functional integration. And those lessons are rooted in functional movement. So, as a Feldenkrais practitioner, we do not diagnose, treat, or cure. We are movement educators. And so, when a client would come to me and I would ask them, what is the goal of our work today? They would often say, take my pain away. And I would say, well, what movement are you limited in doing? What do you want to be able to do after this lesson? What is the pain holding you back from doing? And I was hopeful they would say something like sign up for a 10K, go play pickleball. But often the answer was something like I'd really like to be able to put my own socks on. My hands are in so much pain, I cannot put my socks on. Or I'd like to be able to do my own laundry. I can't lift a laundry basket because of the pain in my arms and my shoulders. So, as we work with the lesson with the student, my brain is going to how do I improve their movement? And it may be curious ways that may not feel like it's a reaching lesson or a walking lesson. But what my brain is rooted in as I work with the student is what is that functional movement? So often we'll do a reference movement before the lesson. So if their goal is to carry a laundry basket, I would have them lift a very light book and see how that felt to lift the book. We would do the lesson. And then after the lesson, I would say, let's return to lifting this book. Does it feel lighter now? And that is the way we think about the lessons. And what I learned very early in my practice was after a lesson, if I said, well, how's your pain now? Often the answer was, well, actually, it was gone, but it just came back. So when we think no pain, take away pain, 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 all the brain is hearing is pain. And so I think the benefit of thinking functionally and how do you move better gets that brain out of the loop of focusing on the pain. And I think that's so incredibly important to know.
If this sparks something for you, there's a much deeper conversation in the full episode. You can watch it here on YouTube or on Spotify or listen on Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, and stay connected for more.